All right. Hey, everybody. I'm here again for my Herding Cats series. We're talking to high-level players who've gotten into the cat base and about their experience with it and some other details. And today I got Tim Lefebvre here. And if you don't know who Tim Lefebvre is and you're a bass player, you probably haven't been paying much attention. Um, he's done a lot of great stuff. So Tim, welcome, and just give me a quick rundown on career highlights. I mean, obviously the big one is the David Bowie record, but I mean, you've done a ton of things in your career so far. So just fill us in a little bit.
First of all, I'd like to make a correction: high level players and me. So,
Oh, please.
uh, I just kidding around. Anyway, so what have I done? I don't even know. Yeah, I mean, through some whirlwind of activity, yeah, we did wind up on the last David Bowie record, which is incredible, and another one actually. That I played on the Never Let Me Down remix sessions. That was basically, that was a Bowie request to redo this album from the '80s, and he hired Mario McNulty to rethink it. So actually, the thing about that was flattering. That I got to play with other Bowie alumni,
Oh, wow.
yeah, Sterling Campbell and Reeves Gabrels, David Torn. It was pretty exciting. So that was awesome.
Rad.
Yeah.
Rad. Yeah.
Back when I lived in New York, I became James Genus's sub on SNL for like 8 years. So that was fun. Yeah, and then it turned into like other, various, never permanent, but other TV stuff. I subbed for on Letterman. What else? I did some of the Stephen Colbert Show last year before things went dark.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
I've subbed on all the TV shows. None in California though, which is not surprising.
Kind of ironic, but yeah, California's a different nut, isn't it?
Yeah, California didn't really accept me with open arms, but it's fine. I mean, that's when you go into your niche mode and just figure out who needs you and who doesn't. You know what I mean?
I've heard that that's kind of what California's like. I mean, in terms of like California versus New York. I mean, we're kind of like New York is much more inclusive and California is a lot more cagey. People are protective.
Yeah, 100%. I think New York is 100% merit based. It's like if you're kicking the guy's ass who's doing the gig, they'll give you the gig. It's like, unless, but I think it's way more political in LA. So it's a little,
right.
It's a little frustrating, but it's cool. I mean,
okay, okay, and then the most recent thing I think was you were going to be hooking up with going out with the Black Crows, but
that's right.
Is that still in the works if things come back together? Or?
That's what the word is. I mean, I don't, I just saw that. I haven't read this article yet, but there's something came out in Rolling Stone about when's live music going to start up again. I mean, I can't see, due to the present shit show, I can't see anything happen until after the next summer.
Right. That seems about right. Yeah.
Yeah, because you just people together yet. It's just, you can see it's ridiculous. Even when, I don't know how many people are going to be vaccinated by then. So it's just like, waiting. So.
And that kind of goes to what you've been up to for the last 6 months, 9 months. You have a Patreon page, and you're creating content. I mean, from where I look, it looks like quite a bit of content. You seem to be really working a lot and putting a lot of material out there, just in terms of come inside Tim Lefebvre's bass life, and you and your wife, just creating and writing and collaborating and doing lots of stuff. So.
Yeah. It's been a lot, it's like another full-time job. I jumped off a tour, I was basically on tour from like December of last year through March, then COVID hit. But, Rachel had the idea to start a Patreon page. So I was like, okay, cool. And, it is a lot of work. It's like, I feel like I jumped off a tour into another one. It's just, but it's cool. And, like this is there's a demand for it, which I didn't really know. I mean, I'm not making millions, obviously, but
right.
That's cool, and I'm grateful for it. Because you go on the road for years, and you come back home, and you're on, home for like 2 weeks, and the last thing you want to do is like teach, because everybody's like, hey, do you teach? And I'm just like, I don't really, I want to just unburn out. So it's like, but now no time like the present. So now I'm doing a lot of teaching and a lot of, gear. Well, that was the cool thing, because you sent it to me at the right time, because it was like, oh shit, I was featuring. I think at that point it was like one piece of gear a day on the Patreon page. So it's like, all right, cool. It's got the Acinonyx bass, which, I fell in love with right away. It's like,
Right on.
yeah, it's because it's really a unique sounding instrument. To
It
me,
is. It is. But what I've been getting from people is that it's unique sounding, but it sounds like a classic bass sound that you didn't know was there. Like it was always there, and then this bass is like, hey, here's this legit sounding old school sound, but it's a new instrument.
right.
Does that jive with your experience of it?
I think so. I mean, it's got kind of newish round wounds on it, so that kind of takes away the shine of that a little bit. I even kind of like on one of these. I was doing that Scary Goldings thing where, it's like Larry Goldings and you improvise a tune, make a tune, blah, blah. But I was actually like doing some thumb stuff on it and it sounded nasty. I was like, wow.
It's surprising what you can do in terms of thumb slap kind of stuff on that bass. Yeah.
Really good. It's looks like a jazz bass. So it's like you got that kind of, I don't know, like it doesn't sound like a jazz bass at all, but it's got that kind of bite when you do hit it with the thumb. So it's super cool.
The one existing like classic bass that sort of has a reminiscent sound to me, and I think it's mainly because of the pickup placement, is a Rickenbacker. Right. It has kind of a vibe in that direction, but it does more. So when you got the bass, what was it like kind of getting to know it? I mean, how did that go for you?
It went good, because right away I was just like, okay, cool. And what was really eye-opening is when you texted me Bob Glob's all 4 buttons in sound. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, that probably is I tried it. I was doing these tracks for David Cook. He was Taylor Swift's MD for a long time. He's a really great piano player. And I used it. He didn't like the 4-button sound. So I was like, okay. So I went off because it is,
it's a lot.
It almost sounds like it's already processed or something. You know what I mean? So
right.
Some people just can't deal with that, and it's fine. So I just went back to like the double, using both pickups. I got to pick it up. I can actually explain what I'm talking about. Yeah. So like the double. Yeah. Generally, I'm sticking to the both pickup thing, and then kind of actually nothing on the other end. I'm just kind of going, like
just open flat.
Yeah. I mean, usually. The other bonus, which I didn't really realize, and I bet you didn't realize this either when you thought about this, although maybe because of Juan you did, Juan Alderete, but it tracks effects like unbelievable. Like,
right.
It is money picking up effects,
Yeah. Well, and that's actually one of the reasons that I jumped on the project, because that was one of the rationalizations that Juan had for really liking the Goya.
Yeah.
Was that you can always go just hit a couple of buttons and exactly what's going to go into that pedal. Yep. You don't have to worry about tone knobs or volume levels or gains or all that stuff. It's always the same. And so that was one of the things that he was looking for and that he took as a feature of the Goya bass. So that was part of the reason that I was committed to switches on this instrument. Yep. So yeah, that's cool. Right on.
I mean, that's super versatility of it. It's like okay, the added bonus is it sounds great with effects too. In addition to having all those other cool sounds, like, okay, great, this is coming on tour now. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
yeah.
I don't have that. I have like, obviously I have like 30, 40 basses, but I have like 10 I'd be willing to take on the road because it just does everything I need it to do.
Right, right. Sweet. Wow. Well, I mean, to earn a spot in a touring arsenal, that's a pretty high praise. So that's really fun. So if you have your choice, what's your favorite sound setting on that bass? What like if you just pick it up and you're just kind of creating stuff, and what do you like to? Does it vary? What?
I mean, usually I'm going with the both pickups on, nothing on the, But then, if I want to get interesting with it, I'll put on the front pickup, and then start rolling off some treble. Like, so then you're talking about some kind of older school stuff, which is
right.
I'm so rusty. Holidays, I can't play. But I mean, and then is this like kind of the third one in? Is like kind of looks like a Z.
Yeah, it's a super dark one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean that's amazing too.
Yeah.
Like that's just great to do. And then the the mid cut too. The mid scoop is pretty awesome. You know, there's just a million different weird sounds on it. You know, like and there's this one is flat, which you don't have to have pressed in for it to be flat, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, that is a mute switch, a kill switch. It's unbelievable. You know,
Oh, it's cool stuff. We might take a little detour into pedals. Like what kind of effects pedals? Because I think some players might be interested in how they can work with this bass with effects pedals. So what do you like with this particular instrument in terms of dirt and effects and things?
oh yeah, I mean, you know, obviously because it's got round ones on it, it's going to sound good with overdrives and fuzzes. You know, that's a given. You know, it sounds great picked. You know, it's got some rock and roll to it. You know, let's see. I'm gonna mute. Here's. You know, I've done a bunch of tracks with a pick. It's gnarly as hell, and that's without any dirt on it. So, yeah. So then there's a whole series of dirt stuff. Like I've been messing with this guy from Eugene, Oregon. It's called Make Sounds Loudly, and he's just making these kind of. I can show you. He's making these fun. What's that? I have a. He made me a SVT boost that's like kind of really rad. It's just like, it sounds like a blown out B15. So you just
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool. So like, you know, that kind of stuff. And then the other good news is that, you know, any kind of radical weird crap I'm doing, like octave, you know, octave distortion, modulation, you know, any kind of tracking stuff that you need for octave pedals, I think it's great for that. Like really great.
Wow.
So
cool.
yeah, so it's like my, you know, my favorite bass ever is my Moulin, you know, and this is just, you know, 100% equal in terms of like the pedal chain stuff, like just eating up, you know, like all the pedal stuff, like
Rad.
perhaps it's well, it's which, you know, that's super important to me because it's, you know, like a lot of the gigs, what I do, you know, when I'm not doing the Black Crowes kind of stuff is experimental, and I am using a huge pedal chain, not a huge, but huge enough, right? I'm going through different sounds, and so like it's important, and this thing fills the bill.
Awesome. Know? So cool. So hold that thing up real quick. I want to point something out to people.
Yeah.
This is a red burst, and this is the only one that's like that.
Really?
So I'm not sure you knew that, but yeah, because that's one of the first factory samples that we had the factory made.
Oh, interesting.
Make for us, and so you have a one of a kind. I'd like to be able to come out with that color at some point in the future, but
yeah,
the factory is fairly limited. So
I've seen a lot of the blue ones, the slate blue, and
yeah, we have 5 colors now. The next batch that's coming in January, we'll have a Dakota red, and then we have the blue, like this one.
Yeah.
And then we have the surf green, and then black and white. And so we'll have 5 colors. And I'd love to do the red burst, but again, the factory kind of ties your hands on certain things, quantities and stuff. So,
but the red's gonna look like legitimately like an old bass. It's gonna kill.
Totally, especially with like a tortoise pick guard on it. It's gonna be totally vintagey looking. So can't wait to get some of those in. Okay, so the only other thing that I wanted to really kind of go over is what kind of reaction are you getting? Because one of the real assets of this bass is how it really tends to make engineers and producers pretty happy.
Yep.
So tell me what kind of reaction you've gotten from people who you've done tracks for and you know pulled it out in situations where it was new to a room or to an engineer, and you know how does that go?
It's been a bunch of what's that bass? It sounds really cool.
Right on. Kind of in a nutshell, that's about it, huh?
There's been a lot of that, and then, you know, so obviously, you know, the Scary Pockets, Scary Goldings, things like that. They were just like, that bass sounds, you know, kills. So like, you know, needless to say, it's come on every one of those sessions. I did some stuff for Empire of the Sun. He didn't know what the bass was, but he said that bass sounds cool. You know, like because you don't always want a Fender sound. You know, like, oh, here's a P bass and here's a jazz bass. It's like it's to me occasionally it gets kind of Yawnsville, like everybody's doing that. So like I actually like really needed this kind of sound where it's just like, what is it's like unique, you know, it's like these different kind of pickups, you know.
Yeah.
You know, that's so like that's kind of like, okay, cool, I got this other kind of edgy weird sound now, which is, you know, which is also super meaty. It's not like it's thin, you know, it's
right.
Yeah, so it's cool, you know.
Yeah,
I can squeeze it in pretty much anything. I would try to squeeze in with any other bass, I could do just as well with this, you know.
Wow, rad.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, and you have a bunch of other short scale instruments too, right? I mean,
Yep.
what other instruments do you have that you find interesting and engaging?
Well, basically, like, like I have 3 Syrinx and 2 Wilcox, right?
Mm.
So the Wilcox, like the latest one that I've gotten from him is the chambered 51P. So like it's and he put I think it's like a 5 hertz, right? The Telecaster pickup. So
Okay.
that's like the typical like old school gain thing from it, right? I believe. So it's like
Hmm.
I kind of it sounds legit, like it sounds really great, but I have to kind of like get it boosted up wherever I'm using it. But it's got that
Right.
right. Uh, the Malarkey Wilcox, cool. I use that one if I want it to sound like a hollow body because for some reason the
Okay.
neck pickup does a great hollow body thing. It's also got flats on it, so that really helps. And then the Syrinx, like the Syrinx are always like super versatile. My first Midwestern kind of sounds P-ish, even though it's got a bisonic in it. But yeah, those are cool. And Schecter's making cool ones. They're
Right
making
on.
a P bass, short scale P bass. I think it's probably supposed to be Mustangy, but it's good. They're doing a nice job. So but again, like it's not even about the price point with this bass. This thing doesn't sound like those. You know what I mean? It's just like it's got a great sound. It's like okay, cool.
Right on. Yeah.
So I mean, whatever you did, you nailed it. So. No, because it's affordable too. Like, a friend of mine from Texas was like, I need to buy a bass. I was like, you should get the Acinonyx because like it's going to be in your price range and it'll murder. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Cool. Yeah. Right on. Yeah. It was funny because the one of the main sounds on this instrument was really an accident. The series mode, the all in button thing. That was not. I mean, that's not something that you find on the Goya. That's a unique to this instrument
right.
sound, and it really added a whole other level of especially Bob Glob level legitimacy. Michael Rhodes got one. I mean, and they all love that particular sound for tracking. So it's
Glob is so hip about that stuff. It's so good.
oh man, he's great. I'm supposed to do one of these with him, so I can't wait to get to that one too. So
Yeah,
this is fun. So well, right on. I don't think I have anything else unless you have any interesting anecdotes or stories about the bass but I mean, we can wrap it up here if you think it's good. So
I think we're good. I'm sure I will have stories about it because,
I hope so.
it hasn't really left the house yet, but it will. It will.
Right on.
You know what?
Can't wait.
To Atlanta. I used to on a record in Atlanta.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I flew. There may be video. I don't even know if there is, but I forgot because I brought my Mulan and this, and I use this like 3/4 of the record. So.
Oh wow, rad.
Yeah.
Is that a record that you can tell us about, or?
It's I used to be in Tedeschi Trucks band, so it's and I have that band Whose Hat Is This, which is experimental. It's the 2 drummers, one of which left since, but it's the 2 drummers and the saxophone player from Whose Hat Is This. But anyway, so Kevin Williams is the saxophone player, so he's doing a solo record. So a totally improvised solo record. So like we went out, I've just brought up my pedals and this thing, and
Rad.
it was great. Like
cool. Is that in the works still, or is that been out, or do you know?
So yeah, we just did it in October, so like it's being worked.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, can't wait to see that. But
among other
right
things,
on.
there's been a bunch of home recording I did on this thing too, which I'll let you know about when I remember when they come out.
Yeah, I hear you. Cool. This last 9 months has kind of been a crazy blur, hasn't it? So, yeah. Well, right on. I really appreciate you doing this and sharing your experience of the cat bass and all that stuff. I think it'll help people who are kind of thinking about one of these things. Although I know a lot of people really want them, they're just waiting to get things lined up to make it happen. So
that's a good problem.
Appreciate it, man. So thanks, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks so much, Carey.
All right. Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Yep.